Good morning. Forgot to put my mic on. Welcome to Zen Fits here in Blackstone, Virginia, the center of the world. But you too are at your own center, at the center of the world. The title of this talk, this Sunday morning sermon, is Find Buddhas in Your Own Backyard. Find Buddhas in your own backyard. And the way I kind of like discovered this was finding a Buddha in my landfill. Same thing. Backyard is a metaphor for your world, and our world is like a landfill. Either the world out there or the world in here. It's a landfill, folks. It's just a pile of experiences and memories and stuff thrown away that never got flushed, that comes back to haunt us, and hopes of the future, expectations and disappointments. It's a landfill. And so we're kind of like, and some people love to dig in landfills because you never know what you're going to find. You never know what you're going to find. So some years ago, I don't know how many, I can't keep track, I went to the landfill here in Blackstone, Virginia, which is a rural town in Southside Virginia that used to be the tobacco land. Most of the tobacco is gone now, but the landfill remains. And one day I was there, and I went to. You had to go through the weighing station. It's kind of like a threshold guardian at the landfill who checks your load to make sure it's okay. You don't have any paint, any poisons in there or whatever. And so you have to go through the threshold guardian. And there in the window was my God, that's a Buddha. And it was covered in mud and dirt, and it was next to some Mickey Mouse and the other crap that the landfill guardian had saved. And I saw that, and I said, my God, that's a Buddha. How much you want for that thing in the corner there? And he said, oh, no. And so I said 20. So 20. No. He saw that I wanted it. And so I said, okay, $40. I went inside his little shack, and there were some other guys sitting there around a stove. One of them said, well, what's a Buddha? What's a Buddha? And so I said, okay, $40. He says, all right, got it. So I took my treasure home, and it was all dirt, and I washed it and cleaned it. And I thought, my God, and it was so heavy. And I thought, my God, it might be ivory. I did it in such detail, but it wasn't ivory. It's kind of like a vine. I don't know what this, it's a rosin that is poured. It's not carved. But anyway, this is my laughing Buddha. This is the Chinese Buddha. This is the fat little Buddha that looks like Santa Claus traveling in the marketplace. It's called Hote, and he's always laughing. He's in the marketplace, and he's carrying a stick with some food, the candy food that he gives away in the marketplace. He wanders in the marketplace. And so this Buddha, I began to, after the landfill Buddha came, Buddhists began to come to mind. I began to attract Buddhas. And I discovered that there are two kinds of Buddhas, two faces of Buddha. You all recognize it, but let's talk about them. This is the serious Buddha, the meditating Buddha. This Buddha comes from Southeast Asia and Theravada Buddhism, which was really the original Buddhism, Hinayana Buddhism, but it was the meditating Buddha. You meditate, and it's a passive kind of Buddha. We just sit and meditate. You chant, follow the breath, meditate. Still the mind through meditation. But the Chinese Buddha, which went to Japan, is the traveling Buddha. the laughing Buddha, Hote Buddha, the Buddha of the marketplace. And so I've got both kinds of Buddhas here. In fact, when people visit my house and I strike a Buddha chord with them, you know what that is. When you strike a resonance with somebody, I call it the sound of one hand clapping. That's the sound of Buddha. It's not the noisy sound of clap, 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 of two things striking. It's the sound of one hand clapping, which is the silence of the laughter of Buddha. So I get a whole box of these little Buddhas, and when people come to my house that strikes the chord of Buddha in my heart, I say, wait a minute, I give them a little laughing Buddha, a traveling Buddha, a portable Buddha, an active Buddha. So this is what I've discovered in my search for Buddha. I no longer search for Buddha. The Buddhas come to me, and I find them in my backyard still. You know, there was a book that inspired me when I started writing for the Courier Record in 1987, Diamonds in My Backyard, Finding Diamonds in My Backyard. So when I was writing stories for the Courier Record, these were gems. The people I found were gems, and I wrote about these gems. And then when I left the Courier Record and started being a wedding photographer, I took pictures of the gems. I took portraits of the gems in my hometown. And then when I left that, I began writing about the gems. And now I write about the Buddhas. The Buddhas are my gem. This is a metaphorical gem. The diamond in your backyard, the Buddha in your landform, is not about a real landfill or a real Buddha. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor. It's a poetic way. It's a poetic way of discovery. So you never know when you're going to discover a Buddha in your backyard. So let's talk about the Buddha in the backyard, and how do you discover the Buddha in your backyard? You have to realize that the Buddha comes with two faces, just like a coin comes with two faces. We flip the coin and we say, oh, there's heads, that's one Buddha. That might be the meditation Buddha. So you meditate for a half hour, an hour a day. Oh, I'm so pleased I meditate, you know. But then you go out into the world. It's like going to church on Sunday for an hour. Oh, but then you go back in the world and get anxious and get into arguments, and you get into stress and all the roller coaster of the world. You're back in the landfill. So for an hour you were out of the landfill, but now you're back in the landfill. So how do you live in the landfill is my question. How do you live in the everyday world, you see? Well, you have to find a Buddha. So what is this Buddha, you see? So I've realized, you know, that I look around the Buddhas in my house. They have two faces. They have the Theravada, the Buddhist Buddha, of the meditating Buddha. Like here's one here. See, this is the still Buddha, the silent Buddha, the meditating Buddha. You know, so this is kind of like our idea. Oh, I got to meditate. I got to go find a little room and have a meditation place. You say, have to have a retreat. It's kind of like having a mini monastery. If you have a meditation seat, you know, you have a little cushion. That's kind of like a little personal, customized monastery where you retreat from the world. You leave the landfill and you go sit in your little monastery or your little retreat, and it's very peaceful there, but you got to go back in the landfill. You got to go back in the world. And it overcomes you, because if you go to a landfill, it's just one dump truck after another. It's like waves. You see, we go to the world we live in is like a landfill, where every time we think we've just got clear of it, got everything sorted, and another load comes and dumps on us, you see. One dump. The world is one dump truck after another. So how do we live in that, you see? Well, then we go to our little retreat, 30 minutes in the morning, or go to a Buddha retreat, or we have our little silence and we go to that, but we have to go back in the landfill. So where is the Buddha in the landfill? That's my question. What good is dividing the world into a landfill here and a tiny little retreat or meditation cushion here, and I go there and then I try my effort. In other words, you got your little retreat and you go back in the world and it looks like this. So you finally go back to your meditation cushion and sit and the snowflakes settle. But then you got to go back in the world. You got to go back to work. You got to go back into the family and the arguments and the stress and the doubts and the anxiety and the worry, and the world looks like this again, So you go back to your thing and say, so it's kind of like it's like two worlds, two faces. You got the world and you got the silent, still Buddha. You see, two faces of Buddha. But what is the Buddha in the landfill? What is the Buddha in the world? You see, that's what I want to know. That's what my quest is. It's easy to find the Buddha in your meditation cushion, but where is the Buddha in the stress? Where is the Buddha in the argument? Where is the Buddha on Facebook when somebody calls you an idiot and you react, Where is the Buddha in the landfill? So this has been my quest. And so let's take a look at it, you see. So I want to find, this is the Buddha I want to find. This is the Buddha in the world. This is Hote, of course, this Chinese Buddha, and he's a happy Buddha. It's kind of like a Santa Claus. Carries a bag of gifts, But he's in the marketplace. He's laughing in the marketplace, you see. So the laughing Buddha, Hote, is a active Buddha, whereas the meditating Buddha is a passive Buddha. You go to the Buddha that sits, you see, that's passive. You're not doing anything. You don't want to do anything. You let go of doing anything. But the Buddha of the landfill is an active Buddha. This has been a big discovery for me, to find the active Buddha, because I was always the passive Buddha. The passive meditation, passive yoga. Well, if you just sit there, good things will happen. If you just sit, an experience will come to you. Oh, if you just sit, things will come to you. Well, that's good. That's required. That is nothing wrong with that. That is necessary. But it leaves off the other half, you see. It's kind of like my old friend here. What am I? Well, if you remember, I've shown this years ago, I've been showing this, but just to remind you, the hag, you see, here's her right eye, here's her right cheek, here's her mouth. And the princess, you see, this is a study of ambiguity. And the princess, you see, here is her right cheek. She's looking in that direction, and here's her little right eye, and a little peaky nose there, and her chin, you see, and a necklace. So you got the hag and the princess in one situation, but you can only see the one or the other at the same time. If you see the hag, you don't see the princess. If you see the princess, you don't see the hag. Most people will see one, but they go, oh, where's the princess? Where's the princess? Or they say, I see the princess, but I can't see the hag. There you go. See, there is this is a metaphor that we can play with. That is the two faces of Buddha. So the princess would be the silent Buddha. And the hag would be the landfill, the world, the pains and the suffering and the stress and the sorrow of the world that comes at me like a landfill, you see. So right there, you see, now we're thinking metaphorically, so hang in there. The two faces of Buddha are, using this metaphor, would be the princess, would be the still, silent, peaceful Buddha, and the hag would be the world. the hag, but you see, it's the same Buddha. Depends on how you perceive it. If you perceive the hag, you're living in a world that just feels like a landfill. Everything is just one damn dump truck after another. How do I get out of this? Most people live there. Most people live in the hag. The world is ugly and happy. I gotta fix it, but I can't get out. Maybe if I elect a new president, maybe if I got a new religion or a new teaching, or maybe if I do something, I'll get fixed, take drugs or whatever, will bring peace to the landfill. But it never does, you see. And so we split the world. The modern mind is a split mind, just like on Fox or the CNN, where you got two faces there, each one expressing a totally different viewpoint, but they're put together as one. Two totally different viewpoints of the world presented to us by the media as a choice. Oh, what do you want to choose? Creative design or science? Your choice, you see. So we're constantly presented with two faces and we have to choose. But there is no choice. What do we choose here? You see, choose the hag and you get the princess. Choose the princess and you get the hag. You can experiment with this. If you stare at the hag and try to hold the hag, the princess will appear. If you see the princess, hold the princess, don't let the hag in, and the hag will appear. It's oscillating. Why? Because it's two faces of the same picture. The silent Buddha and the passive Buddha, silent sitting, and the active Buddha of the world, you see, are two faces that oscillate. And we're trying to fix, the hag comes in, I got to get back to the princess, I got to get back to my peace, don't disturb my peace is disturbed, how do I get it back? So we go to retreats and we go to workshops to get our peace back, because the hag has come in and taken over my mind. You see, how do I get, when the world becomes a landfill, you see, how do I get back to the peace? So we're all looking for peace in the wrong places. Why? Because the peace is right where we are. If we see that, if we stop looking for peace away from the world, if we stop seeking peace outside the world or on a cushion or in a meditation retreat or an ashram or whatever, we stop seeking peace and we stop shaking the world and trying to get out, you see, gradually the world, the Buddha in the world appears. Now, of course, this is one Buddha, but this, when you stop trying to get out of the world, get out of the landfill, you accept the landfill and allow the landfill, this Buddha appears. And you suddenly find Buddhas in your landfill, in your world, in your backyard, in your family, in your job, wherever, in a war, in the politics. You can find the one that we have separated. You see, we separate the two Buddhas in our world, action and peace, passive, yin and yang. We separate these two, and we look for the yin. And we try to avoid the yang. We look for the light, the goodness, God, and we try to avoid the darkness and the devil. You see, we split the world. The modern mind is a split mind, a split world, where we're seeking goodness and avoiding the dark, you see. But it's the same world. It's the same world, you see. Each, the darkness is seated in the light, and the light is seated in the darkness. So this is a dynamic unity here. If you were to look at this is fixed, but if you were to look at this as being dynamic, it would be like two koi fish chasing, it would be like two snakes, a dog chasing its tail. So this is a image of the modern world chasing itself trying to find the one Buddha, or the one piece, or the whole, you see. We're looking for the whole or the one in the two. And they keep oscillating back and forth like the hag and the princess. So you find the princess, I got the princess. Happy ending, the princess is married and has a happy ending. But the hag comes back. Now I gotta find my princess again. It's fairy tales. But the truth is that the division between the hag and the princess, between the yin and the yang, is an illusion. There's only one world, and it is the landfill. The world is a landfill of one experience coming in after another. We're submerged and drowning in data. How are we going to get out of the data? Oh, we'll invent AI. You see? So the more we are submerged in data or information, you see, the more we try to create a way out of it. There's nothing wrong with this. I'm just describing the exterior world, but we really want to look at the interior world. We really want to look at you, at your own mind, at the landfill in your mind, and where the Buddha is in your mind. Well, it's right there. It's right there. And you stumble upon it. You almost trip over it. Look at that. I found the Buddha right in my kitchen. Thanks for dropping in.